A warm welcome to all our viewers to our series Natural Medicine today. We dive into TCM healing knowledge with Dieter Hölle. He is a specialist in general medicine but was also in China for years and has integrated the deep ancient knowledge of the barefoot doctors into a wonderful book that I read. That's why I invited the author today, and I'm very happy that he talks to us about how we can integrate this old knowledge into our everyday life. Stay tuned. Hello, dear Dieter. Nice you're here.
Hello, Corina.
We have already had some very valuable interviews, especially about your book, which is suitable for everyday use on how to integrate TCM into everyday life, also with certain complaints, symptoms, indications. And today I would like to shed light on the topic of skin and the Chinese healing knowledge about it with you. What does the skin stand for? What does it show us? As a doctor, where you can already see various things on the skin that the patient may be missing or are out of balance.
Fine. I'm looking forward.
Exactly. Topic skin. For what is that mirror for you as a TCM doctor? How do you deal with this?
Yeah, you can see very well on the skin heat phenomena, cold phenomena, sometimes also wind phenomena. But when it comes to skin diseases, it's the heat that's important. These are mainly skin conditions that are red, scaly, dry. The consequence of heat is always drought. It's like the weather outside. If it's very hot, the ground gets dry and so does the skin. When it's hot, the skin becomes dry and scaly. And then you can see what other flaws there are. Mostly the condition I know of in TCM terms would actually be blood heat. And this you can tell by the tongue. But the best way to tell is by the skin. Red, hot, itchy. That's the catchphrase for blood heat.
Okay, and how would you approach the story then?
Well, with the right herbs that take the heat, that strengthen the blood so it doesn't change so much. And there are special medicines, individual medicines, that you always take in connection with others, because fighting the heat always means that you quickly cool down too much to achieve the opposite. And you have to counteract this in a harmonizing way in a recipe.
The wonderful thing about you is that you really take a tea mixture as medicine. What many people may not be aware of is that you can really work on a medication level with a tea.
Well, I might have to mention the difference a little bit. The tea, as it's brewed here, is a thin water. And tea is called tang in Chinese. Tang also means something like soup. So these are the same words. So it's also cooked much longer. Our tea, which is in water for maybe 5-10 minutes, is allowed to steep a bit, but there it's boiled, usually 1 to 2 hours, depending on the herbal mixture, the herbs that are in it. And there's a whole different excerpt there. It's not just flowers and leaves, it's barks and roots. There are an awful lot of substances in there, important substances that don't taste good but are highly effective.
Yes, you also said that if you have to brew it yourself at home, then really the whole surroundings then just smell.
Exactly.
Luckily, there are now smarter solutions.
But they're just highly aromatic, so barks and roots are highly aromatic, and they bring it out when they're boiled, and our noses are just not used to it.
Are there already at least possibilities how we can do that in everyday life, to really incorporate that healing knowledge, the concentrates, in a safe way?
Yeah, exactly. There are the so-called compactates, a new form of drug administration. As a rule, an original tea is made in China and is then applied to a substrate. Indirectly, the basis is a powder that's prepared from plant fibres that are dried, pressed or ground. It can absorb a lot of liquid, and that's where this tea comes in, this strong boiled tea. It's sprayed over it in such a spraying process that it's evenly distributed on this powder. and then it comes to us. It's checked. The advantage is that there are no toxins in it, so aflatoxins, something like mold due to the long transport route by ship, for example, and that they are not old herbs. They've not been stored for so long. In China, there was a tendency, now not anymore, to consume the fresh produce for themselves and basically send the waste abroad. Horrendous prices.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they've learned a lot, and we also subject the compactates to special tests. So there's nothing more that can harm us. In the past, there was even cortisone in asthma medication, just put in there. The Chinese sometimes know no boundaries.
And then there is some seal of approval, or can I get it from somewhere where I can be sure that I have the right thing?
So the compactates are always correct because they are always checked, otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to be called that. And with us, they're examined by a very competent professor. The book also has his name in it, as well as his picture. He's doing great, he's lots of experience in it and will never cut any corners. It's only the best goods that come along. And these goods are then sold, currently only from one large pharmacy, the train station pharmacy in Kempten. They do it very well. They have a machine that mixes and packs without a human hand being there to contaminate anything. And then, well, it'll be sent to you, for example.
Yes, great. Now, I would go back to the skin with you again. The blend that clears heat, Wen King Tang. Did I say it right? Page 38?
Now I have to see. You don't pronounce it like that, but it's similar. It doesn't matter anyway. You just can't do that in the beginning. Wen Qing Tang. But that doesn't matter. Once you have the book, you can refer to page 38. I called it Healthy Skin, because it really works great on the skin. With this mixture, one assumes that the skin is contaminated with poison, with heat, and simply has to be cooled, where the inflammation should be pulled out and the toxins must be drained. If you look at this recipe on page 38 called Healthy Skin, it translates to mixture which clears heat in Chinese, Wen Qing Tang. Clarifying always means leading out, discharging, taking away. And there we have a mixture with a root, with a rootstock, and that's the second on this page, Coptidis rhizoma. Coptidis is the name of this plant, and rhizoma means nothing more than rootstock. Then there are such beautiful plants as Rehmanniae, and this is a Rehmanniae root, which is also fried again, usually fried in honey. And that's why the nice word praeparatata comes from, prepared, specially prepared. It takes the heat. It's exciting what's happening there. There are other symptoms then with the so-called blood heat, which is the Chinese name behind it in this group of diseases. For us, blood actually means cooling. And when the blood is hot, something goes horribly wrong. But it also means that the blood is nourishing, that it nourishes the body. I mentioned cooling before, but it still has the task. When it's sufficient, not too much, that the heart is functioning well, functioning strongly, a balance between yin and yang, between the moving and between the stillness. There's always blood involved. The blood is normally the cooling and calming factor in the heart. So a heart blood deficiency always means that we're also restless. There's a lot of blood needed again. And there's a saying in China that says, if the heart is strong and there's enough blood, but strong in China doesn't mean that the heart is beating strongly. But strength always means that there's harmony between yin and yang. And the blood belongs to the yin, so that there is enough blood. If we don't have enough blood, then we're nervous and a little restless. There are other signs too: brittle fingernails, dry, brittle skin. These are all signs of a lack of blood.
How does a lack of blood in the body come about? What factors influence blood deficiencies?
Well, blood deficiency isn't to be understood in the sense that one only has too little material blood, but also the effect of the blood is too little. You also have to see the functional side, not just the material side. But of course there is a lack of blood. So as we know it after a pregnancy, after a birth, that's the job of the blood. And if the blood cannot fulfill its function, there can be illnesses due to deficiency. The skin disease just mentioned, which includes dry, scaly psoriasis. That's very scaly skin, neurodermatitis. It's already in there that it can often be nerve-induced through this nervous system, which is also weakened with lack of blood. In other words, people who are easily nervous, excited, restless and have trouble sleeping. Then, unfortunately, there is this stupid itching which intensifies it even more. But nonetheless, there are really excellent herbs to calm this blood heat. I'll go into something else later. I don't want to forget that. I have to remember something else. That would be exceptionally a single herb. We always have mixes. There's one single herb that is excellent for the skin. I'll mention it later. It's so fantastic.
Okay.
Now, in the book, we still have the Angelicae root first. We have the white peony root again, which has a different effect than the red one. The red takes the heat even more, but then I'd have to change other things as well. I'd like to leave it the way it says in there. And I think we can deal with it sufficiently.
Yes, you have nice advice here too, general information, especially on lifestyle. And Qigong and yoga is important.
Well, everything that relaxes, calms, loosens, and the forbidden things make everyone hot. Alcohol, for example, spicy food, coffee, which is basically poison for people who have a rhinophyma, such a bright red nose or this age-related acne. This rosacea on the face, it's absolutely important to remember. No alcohol, no coffee, and no spicy food, because it increases the heat. It's easy to notice when you eat something hot with strong spices, how it shoots up, and from the inside out.
Now, of course, someone who is cold will think, then I'll drink a lot and eat spicy food and drink coffee. But that would be counterproductive.
Yeah, you can't simplify it like that. And what goes with it? No exhausting exercise, so no exhaustion, because that weakens and then allows the heat. Heat always arises when there's not enough yin, cooling. If I consume yin now very strongly, then the heat can occur more intensely. So basically, in order to weaken the heat, I have to strengthen my yin. Drinking water wouldn't be so bad at first.
Great. You still have symptoms here too. I always find them.
Well, they're exciting because as a substitute for the many symptoms, we need to determine a remedy and to create a recipe that a layman cannot evaluate here. I try to use the symptoms to guide you to where the recipe has its place. Now, we said in previous programs that illness is always to be translated as disharmony. So a non-harmony, a disharmony. And a disharmony is often the cause of symptoms with multiple inflammations now. Not only that, I also wrote other things in there. For example, gum inflammation is also a sign of heat. For example, a stomach heat can also cause bleeding gums. So there are different ways what it can look like. Also a painful period. And we discussed everything about nervousness, restlessness, but also the dry red eyes, and finally, as with us, heat always comes to the point where it leads to a lack of blood. A lack of blood always means that you have dizziness, hot hands, hot feet. And the recipe can cool down extremely without making it too cool, because that would be not good either.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to ask. Now, we hear a lot about recipes that really apply to a body that is too warm.
Exactly, and the balancing effect here is it's caused by the last one, Scutellare root, but also Gardenia fructus, they have a balancing effect. Gardenia is a fruit that we don't have. I don't know a German name for it, I have to say.
That also ensures that I don't get a cold.
Exactly, you don't cool down and don't dry out, and don't make it too strong. In China, there's this phenomenon when you go to a restaurant in Shanghai or Beijing where you can sit outside. It's so common in summer. There are glasses everywhere on the tables, and there are flowers in the glasses. And then a waiter comes and pours hot water over it, and this is a popular heat drink in summer. Then you want to cool down the summer heat. And it's a very good drink, a very good tea for heat symptoms on the skin. And that would be the chrysanthemum blossom, such a small daisy-like flower. And this is put in the glass, hot water's poured over it, and well, then it's drunk. And this also alleviates other heat symptoms, such as high blood pressure. So also the weighting from the upper to the lower body is reversed, so that everything goes more down, so the lower strength, the lower stability, and the upper lightness. And that's how it's expressed in China. And that's what this tea does. And then I got to know something wonderful from the Barefoot Doctor that didn't come up in my TCM training. They simply made poultices with this tea. So for children who have such large areas with neurodermatitis, they put a cloth over it, soaked it in tea, and after a day, it looks great. The redness was gone, the scaling was gone, the itch was gone. Wonderful. You can drink the tea, but also externally.
Could I also take the mixture now if I have a child with psoriasis or neurodermatitis? Could I also do a compress with this mixture?
Exactly, you can dab it anywhere, it's red and hot. In the sense of an internal cause, in the case of the heat of the blood, you can just dab it outside or just make a compress. There are sometimes such horrible situations where all hands are open. I let these patients bathe in this tea or wrap their hands in these compresses. That's how I got to know it in China. And it's not in any book, and it works so wonderfully. You can buy this in any TCM pharmacy as chrysanthemum flowers. There's no point in such a powder now. You just need the raw drug. Brew a tea like we do, let it steep, and then use it.
Okay, was that already the insider tip?
Yeah, that was an insider tip because it doesn't exist anywhere. It's not in there anywhere, and as I said, I got to know it. And also saw in the clinic how the children were given compresses. They were all wrapped up, partly because they had terribly red arms. It can look so bad, and it was simply wrapped up. Then after 2 or 3 days, it was fine.
Can I also use this for acne?
Can also be used for acne. Acne is a blood heat disease.
Okay, so I'll do the compresses then, but I can also do the tea.
You can also just dab it on.
And when combined with tea, it also works for acne?
The tea itself can't cause any harm. It'll never take away the heat too much. Always in moderate.
What would you use for acne as a therapy?
So, I think it's very good if you also do something cooling in our sense, healing earth pads. So, there you make a healing earth mixture, put a face mask on your face, which women are good at, and that pulls out all the heat and with it the inflammation. And afterwards it's washed off. You could do it differently. First of all, to get things moving, a facial steam with chamomile, which disinfects very strongly. It kills the bacteria in the acne pimples. And then a cooling mask on it that balances out the heat. And that works very well. So, first, make a really hot vape. Chamomile steam means putting chamomile flowers in the pot, towel over your head, and simply steam your face. And then a cold pad with healing earth. It's super good.
Perfect, thanks a lot. It was so exciting again. If you now want to immerse yourself in all this and want to read into this wonderful healing knowledge, where is it possible?
Well, of course you can buy my book at Quantisana in Switzerland. I think it's called quintisana.ch, Switzerland. Yep. You can order it there or in any bookstore. They then order it from Quintisana, which has It has an ISBN number here. And if you pass it on, you can order it from the bookstore. You need to enter the title in the bookstore. They find these ISBNs and then order it in Switzerland. And then you can have it. So far, there is no other option. Unfortunately, I don't know of any comparable book which is written in this simplicity to use as a naturopath, as interested layman, or even as a TCM doctor to be.
Great. Thank you very much for the insight.
Yeah, we done already?
Yes, it's always quick with you. I hope that we will go into more detail again. There are still many topics that I would like to look at with you. We still have a few problems in the body about joints.
It doesn't work without joints.
There are no problems, only challenges. Then I thank you for being there, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Well, thank you. I'm happy about that too. And goodbye to the viewers. All the best.
Yes, dear viewers, if you want to see more interviews with our guest, you are welcome to go to the website at QS24.TV. There you can enter the name of our guest, and you'll also find further interviews and contact details. Otherwise, I wish you a good time. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye.